me in a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this gathering this evening of people who care about Kosciuszko County. Help us to do that which is pleasing to you. Give us the wisdom and the guidance to make good decisions. Help us to remember those who have served as veterans, those that we will be honoring tomorrow. We are so blessed to have had so many who have given so much. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
And now, if I could get you all to turn off your cell phones, because otherwise you might be bidding on one of these budget items that you won't want to fund. So please turn off your cell phones. So at this point, I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask for approval of the 10:13 minutes.
So moved.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Oh, yeah, you can't.
And we have one abstention. Okay, so the motion carries. And the first thing on the agenda is the Lakeland Regional Sewer District. Oh, go back.
Good evening. I'm Jim Haney with the Lakeland Regional Sewer District Board of Trustees, and I have Rosa Ritchie here this evening. We're here to respectfully request that the council consider her appointment to our board. If appointed, she would be fulfilling the remainder of Frank Kerr's appointment. Frank resigned in August for personal reasons, and his appointment will expire in April 2025. So if appointed, Rosa would fulfill that term, if you will. Hopefully you've all had a chance to look at Rosa's bio, based on her educational and work experience, and the fact that she's volunteered for community service. We just feel that she'd be an excellent addition to our board. And the board unanimously is supporting her appointment. And certainly we'll answer any questions you might have.
Does anybody have any questions?
I just would like to thank you for
Yes.
your service, and with that, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Welcome. Yeah.
Thank
Motion
you.
carries.
Appreciate it.
And
Thank
thanks for volunteering. Thank you.
Okay, let's back up here a minute to the meeting dates for 2023.
Okay. We don't
Hope
have to
everybody has
approve those,
checked
do
those.
we?
Yeah.
I have not.
Hope
checked
everybody
them.
has checked those against your calendar, and if we could have a motion to accept those as our official calendar.
Move
So
to
moved.
approve. Oh, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept those dates that are listed. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
I'm going to abstain since I'm not going to be here.
Same reason.
And we have 2 abstentions for the boys that are going away. Okay, moving right along. The next thing on the agenda is the abatement approval for IDNA, and we will be tabling that. There was a little bit of a snafu with their legal description or their legal advertisement, and so we will be tabling that until December. We will take action on it in December. And next up is Kedco Allen. Not Kedco Allen, Alan Teo from Kedco.
Good evening, council members. Does everyone have the one-page document I put together? All right.
Yes, thank you.
Excellent. So I have 3 projects we're working or prepared to work on, and these align with our 3 areas of focus on entrepreneurship, housing, and talent. And so the commissioners at their September 27th meeting voted to approve us moving forward with these, of course, subject to the council's appropriation of funds. Looking at, with entrepreneurship, continuing our MedTech Accelerator Studio on a rolling basis. This is something we launched this year in partnership with the county, in partnership with the Don Wood Foundation. We'll be looking for other funding as well. And so we've had 6 companies go through our first cohort. We have 4 more waiting in the wings, and so this allows us to keep it going as on a rolling basis. And then we will be back, of course, for 2023. And then the Housing Initiative, working to really look at the how do we support water and sewer infrastructure around the county in areas that make sense for development. And so working with the county, on behalf of the county, to develop some alternatives, some recommendations on how to do that. And the third thing, this is new, is there are about 15 other communities around Indiana that are working on remote worker recruitment to get workers that have jobs to move into their communities, bring their jobs. And so we think that'd be a great fit for us with the quality of life and the amenities we have to offer to be able to support a remote worker recruitment. One of the things we're interested in is really if remote workers can relocate here, bring their jobs, odds are good they're going to have a spouse or a partner or someone else in the family that needs a job. And so we can help those folks find jobs here. And so on that one, we actually already have commitments from other partners to just about triple the investment we're seeking from the county. So
Alan?
excited about all three of those.
On the 60 to 150, is the 60 plus the 150 is what you'll be utilizing, or is the
ma'am.
150 the total?
The 60 is matched by the 150.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question? So this is just to verify that these people will be living here but working someplace else?
Correct. They have jobs. They're bringing the jobs with them.
Okay.
What is the accelerator costing per month to operate right now?
Per month, approximately $10,000 a month.
Where is that housed?
So it's a program. It's housed at KEDCO. There's no physical location. We've used our offices. Actually, I need to give a shout out or thank you to K21 for allowing us to use their new offices in Winter Lake, but it's not a physical incubator where there's an office space. It's more of a program.
And just for clarification, this is a part of the edit money that was already appropriated for the commissioners in their budget for special projects.
Ma'am, this is out of the special projects line. And that's where I've got the annual, I think the budget is 250,000. This is a request for 140. We already had some other funds approved, so the remaining balance would be 60,000.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alan.
And next is Ken Jones.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
Ken.
Hey, good to see you all.
Good to see you.
Thanks for giving me a few minutes. I just wanted to come in and thank the council on behalf of the folks at Tippecanoe Chapman Lake and the trustees down there and your trust and ability to help us move the project to where it is today. So just to kind of give you a brief overview, I think it's been, maybe 3 years ago that you folks, trusted us to move forward, provided some funding to form the district, and we haven't stopped running since. So we are actually getting ready to have a groundbreaking ceremony, and we're going to send invites to council members. You can choose to attend if you'd like to. I think it is a pretty amazing project if you think about it. It's overall, the capital cost, including the non-construction costs, topped out at $51 million. We were able to procure some pretty attractive funding for the project. Ultimately, we were able to pull in $14 million in grants. Part of that was from federal government. Part of that was from the Indiana Finance Authority through the state revolving loan. The balance was long-term low-interest loans. Part of that remaining $37 million was funded through the USDA. I think it was about $24 million at a 1.7% interest rate. And then the balance in loan was funded through the SRF, and a good part of that was at 0 interest rate. So, that's some good terms. So,
Yes.
and especially for a project that, you and the county commissioners, health department, and the people out there at the lakes knew probably should have happened maybe 70 years ago, or not 70 years ago, 30 years ago at least. And I meant to say 1970, I think the first time it was looked at. So anyway, I think it's been a couple years ago I was here talking to you about this, and I think we were talking about a customer rate of somewhere between $80 and $90. We landed at 88. So I think that's a pretty good accomplishment, and we couldn't have done it without your help and trust and partnership. So that's my update for you. I'd be glad to answer any questions that you have.
So how quickly, you've got the rates adopted already?
Yes.
You're that far along?
The
Okay.
ordinance has already been approved. All the funding has been closed on, and we've already conducted the pre-construction meetings. So there's 3 contracts altogether. And so after the groundbreaking, which will be probably in the next couple of weeks, contractors are free to start as soon as they can get materials. And my guess is a lot of this probably won't start till after the first of the year.
Right, yeah.
So one of the things I wanted to mention to you too, which was amazing for us, as we were going through the process of outreach to the property owners after the project was designed, we actually met with, there's about 18 or 1,900 connections and about 2,400 equivalent dwelling units in the project. So that's bigger than a lot of small towns, actually. So we started this process of outreach, and you would not believe the response that we got from property owners. We met with about 1,400 separate property owners out there on their property, just to kind of make sure that we were doing what we needed them to do on their particular site. And as a part of that process, before we could award the project, we had to collect agreements from every one of those property owners. By the time we were ready to finally close on the loan and bid the project, we had 95% of those property owners signed agreements with the district at Chapman, and it was like 93 at Tippy. And we'll get the rest of those under construction. So it's been a fantastic experience, and I think
That's
it's been a
great.
good project. And hopefully, when it's all done, everybody will look back and say, man, that was tough, but we did it. So thank you so much for your
So
partnership.
when would the people expect their billing to start? I know that's the other
They'll
question
start
people will be.
partial billing as construction begins. So
Okay.
the district is getting ready to, and the purpose of that really is to avoid, capitalized interest, kind of like what you do when you're, doing a construction loan for your house. So we're gonna be paying for some of that during construction, and then probably it's about a 24-month construction period for that project. So they won't be necessarily seeing a full bill until they're asked to begin to connect.
Okay.
So it's all good.
I know people have asked, they
Yeah.
weren't sure quite
Yep.
what the timeframe
And-
would be.
The one thing that's been impressive with this group of trustees that you helped to appoint is that they've been really going the extra mile to communicate. So there's a website, phone number. There's also an email they can send questions in. We usually collect those and try to answer them as soon as possible. But I don't think anybody's really waited for much. So it's been good. So,
Great.
very good.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you so
your
much
time.
for,
Thanks
again,
for the information.
really good to see you all. And
Thank you.
thanks again.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, the sheriff's work release.
Hi, Chris.
Good evening.
Hi, good
Hello.
evening. How is everyone tonight?
Good.
Good. I'm here to request an additional appropriation for $4,500 to help cover drug testing fees for our work release. We increased that budget a little bit this year, but it's still a little low on what we needed. Just a reminder, those fees are collected into the general fund, and there's more than enough. I think even if we project it out, we'll be at 54% of expenditure of the collected fees, so it's still well within reason.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I asked Michelle to look at the rest of your budget this afternoon, and there's $1,900 in office supplies and $2,500 in operating supplies as well. And I'm assuming that you probably have a place for those because that's not enough money to cover what you asked for. So I think the additional appropriation is probably appropriate. We haven't done a whole lot of additional appropriations. That's the reason.
Yeah,
why
and
I wanted to share that with
I
everybody.
appreciate that. And the drug testing, it was new last year, and I had to come to you and ask for additional fees. Last year, we did make an adjustment to our appropriation when we asked, but because the programming type is new and the drug testing company's new, it's been a little bit of a guess at how that's going to play out, so.
Well, if that's all the further you missed it, that was a pretty
That's a
good
good,
guess.
that's a good guess. I like to make a motion to approve this.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you,
Chris.
appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next is prosecutor.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I just saw you a few minutes ago, actually about an hour ago up in Napanee. You got an earlier start than I did.
Yes, I did.
I'm here on, to present the budget for the K-Code, that's the Kosciuszko County Coalition on Drug and Education. As you know, we get funding through the governor's office, through some court fees, specialized court fees that we get a percentage of for Kosciuszko County. That's applied through the K-Code group, of which I'm a member, and I'm also on the grant review, which we went through a couple weeks ago. You've got before you the different organizations that have asked for funding for next year, some assistance to funding. And so that's been presented on the paperwork that's been given to you. We're budgeting $76,000 this year to distribute, and you can see the distribution agencies that get a certain percentage of the money.
And it is required that a quarter of it go to the coordinator. Is that correct or not?
It is.
Okay.
And the 19,000 is not total salary. That's also expenses and things of that sort.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, could we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Dan.
And I think you might have gotten the invitation. K-Code is celebrating the 30th anniversary this year. That's on Monday. And that's from 1 to 3 o'clock in the basement of the Justice Building. Public is invited to attend. 1992 is when we started, and I actually was here as the chief deputy prosecutor at that time on the committee, so. Yeah, so I am one of the guest speakers.
So you're going to tell us all about it. So
Oh, yeah, all that you want to know about K-Code.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Have a good
Thanks,
evening.
Dan.
Thanks. Okay, and moving right along, Dana.
Hi there. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Dana from probation. I don't know, I think most of you know me. So anyway, I'm here at the request of Judge McGrath. It's that time of year, they kind of pushed it up on us faster this year than last year. Our grant is due actually next week. Our grant application is due next week. So I am here tonight, Kara couldn't be here, but I'm here tonight to respectfully request that you give us permission to apply for the grant. I don't know, do you have it in front of you? It does say 80,000, but the amount is actually 70,000
It was
this year.
corrected
Was
on
it
our
corrected?
copy,
Okay.
yes.
And that is for implementation and programming. Those are the two things. There's no coordination. So I don't know if you want me to go into more about JDI. Karen and I are excited. We have lots of ideas already. We've been working on our grant, so just need approval.
Great.
I make a motion to approve for them to apply for the grant.
Okay.
We have a motion and
Double second.
The double
a
second.
second.
Well, thank you.
All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Thanks for all your hard work.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
and I appreciate you
Thank you.
guys showing up to some stuff. And I do want to tell you, one of the programs that we do fund and help with is our Credible Messenger program. It is Keeping It Real, and I don't know if some of
Yep.
you have been there, but our last one for the year is going to be next Monday night at 5:30, and it's a really good thing to see. So
Is it a
everyone's
week from
invited.
Monday or?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Is it a week from Monday or this coming Monday?
14th.
Next Monday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's 14th. So thank you.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along, next is Judge Reed, who
My,
looks
you've
quite a bit like
changed.
Michelle.
I
this
think
evening.
a reoccurring theme would be the judge's absence. They're very, very busy individuals, so I will be presenting for Judge Reed and later for Judge Keeler. So Judge Reed is asking permission to apply for a grant. It's a $50,000 grant. This is a technology innovation grant. It will pay for program and equipment for docket displays over in the Justice Building. So to me, in my mind, it's kind of like when you go to the airport and they say, this is where you're supposed to be at what gate, what time, kind of like that for the Justice Building to help direct people to the appropriate courts. So the amount that he was asking for is $50,000.
I'll make a motion for that.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried.
The second item is the additional appropriation to help support that grant. Now you will see that the total amount on here was for $44,000. That's because at the commissioners' meeting, this grant request got increased to $50,000, and we'd already advertised for the additional appropriation. So tonight, if you would approve the additional for the $44,000, then in December, you will see me asking for the other $6,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank
Motion
you.
carried. Thank you, Michelle. And Marcia, the ARPA money.
Marcia?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. So the first items on the agenda is the ARPA additional appropriations. These items have all been through the process and been approved. This is to appropriate the dollars. And that would be for the coroner's equipment, the Cardinals Ability Campaign, HVAC building repairs, HVAC and box truck, and dispatch hardware.
I move for approval.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried.
Okay, next is an additional appropriation request. This is for out of Cume Cap Development to computer maintenance software. This is just kind of a bookkeeping thing. It needed to be done when the dollars were approved, so this is just moving those into the line item to spend them.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried.
Okay, next is the monthly transfer for $5,000 from land and improvements in the CCD fund into legal services. And once again, we do not at this time have the October bills. They're due the 15th, so I would imagine we'll have that tomorrow.
Do you have any idea how much that's going to be?
Not at this time. Of the balance that is there, the $16,010 in legal services, $6,800 of that is for highway use, and the remainder is $9,210, and that is for commissioners' use. So $5,000, we're trying to keep things ahead of the game here. We'll be paying October's bill out of there, plus we have November and December to come, so.
How long do you have to pay the bill once you get it? Do you have 30 days?
Yeah, I mean.
Yes.
Okay, then I actually motion that we deny this because you would have time to come back and get 5,000. You've already got $9,210 balance right now. So I don't really think you need the 5,000. The motion originally was if you spent the money to come
No,
back.
respectfully, I made the motion, and I don't think my recollection that was part of my motion, that they needed it.
So if you have spent what you spent over the past months,
We would have $5,000 in there for October and $4,210 for November.
But we're going to
And
have,
we would not have
But we would have
anything for December.
but we have another meeting
Right.
in December.
So 9210, I'm just asking, 9210 should carry you for the,
If it's over 4210, no, but we'll make it
well,
work.
for just that month.
For 1 month.
Then in December, we would consider another $5,000, which should pay, actually, we'd have to consider more than that. Because what we're trying to get to here is to not carry over a bill from December and pay the December bill in January out of January's budget. January's bill that we're paying needs to come out of the December budget and be encumbered. That way we've lopped off the year and we know where we're at. Okay, let me ask this one. What would be the worst that would happen if we approved the 5 tonight? And then next month, we would know where you're at, whether you actually need more money or not.
Right.
I mean,
We aren't
it's
going
as
to
broad as it
spend
is
it
long,
as-
But we
probably.
may not know because we don't get that bill.
Exactly.
I guess because of the
It's due
timing.
the 15th, and tomorrow is the 11th. am I
Well,
right?
that's the
So-
other thing we just talked about a little bit, was that we probably need to change that bill receipt date. It needs to be here no later than
Our meeting
like the
date.
5th of the month, so that
Yeah.
we're on top of it. Just hindsight. So you move to
Deny.
Deny. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to deny. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, raise your right
Can I make a motion to accept it, approve it?
hand. That would be it, yes. Uh-huh.
That would be the next one.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second for that?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. So next month, we'll still be able to figure out whether you still need more money. And the bottom line is if you move money to that account and you don't spend it by the end of the
Yeah,
year,
it's gonna stay
you're
there.
done. You're done. It's not going anywhere, so.
And if you could ask Ed if he could get his
I will pass
bills
that
in.
along to the commissioners, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next several transfers, let's do this one at a time here. So the $9,911.59. That is a transfer out of light bulbs and ballasts for gas and electric. So that is to cover the October bill. And then, let's take these one at a time. We'll cover that and then we can discuss it.
Okay, I'll tell what the rest of the story was. So there was not enough money to pay the October bill timely because the October bill was due today. So,
With the holiday. or
With the holiday.
closings, yeah. it
so
wasn't gonna
I
happen.
went ahead and gave my verbal approval because we cannot pay penalties. Somebody was going to have to pay that out of their
Right,
pocket.
right.
So I went ahead and gave the council's verbal approval. So hopefully you'll all agree that we agree to spend this 991169, whatever,
That
1159.
just means we can keep the lights on.
Okay, so moved.
And that means I'm not going to have to pay the $9,900.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve that, which is actually paying the October bill that was due in November.
Yes.
Okay,
And we have several that are due at different times, but we try to pay them all at the same time to keep it timely.
okay, so did we,
We have a motion and a second.
okay, we need to vote. I caught it. Okay, all those in favor, raise your right hand.
Marcia, I have a
No one
question on
opposed.
that. Is there any possibility that someone could take, I'm sure quite a bit of time, and call and ask them to put it on the same cycle, just to help our record keeping?
We have tried that.
Okay, well,
They bill when they bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving right along to the next request for transfer.
Okay, so the next is transfer for 8,000, 10,000, 25,000, 5,000, and 20,000. What that does is gives us the transfers of, I believe, 68,088.41, and that will cover all of November's bill and part of December's bill. And we will be coming back, and you should already maybe got a copy of the additional appropriation for December. But we did as many transfers as we could squeeze out to try and cover this. So as a side note, we have increased the budget next year to $84,000, or increased it $84,000 to hopefully cover these increases that we're seeing with NIPSCO. When, we have demand charges, we have delivery charges. When you're seeing our therm charges, our lowest, the first of the year was like 0.2376, and we're paying now 0.6767. You can't do the math there. So we also pay demand charges, and if you remember right, I told you about a capacitor that we put in the Justice Building. So at billing time, we had that programmed up and running, and the demand charges decreased by $2,100. So we only expect to see that to decrease more with the next month. Also, there are delivery charges that we pay. So anywhere from $1,000 up to almost $3,000 a month for the delivery charges. So I think it's kind of self-explanatory why we're doing transfers and having to do an additional appropriation. But on the other side of that is we're doing a lot of things with maintenance right now. I think I told you last month that I had Core Mechanical come in and Johnson Controls. And you'll be seeing a grant request out of ARPA next month for this is what came out of that week-long visit with them with maintenance, identifying issues with the system. There's a lot of controls that need to be replaced with our air handler units at the Justice Building, and we had a lot of VAV issues that need repairs. So I think that was like just over $67,000 for that grant. But all said, all of those things that we're doing with the capacitor, those controls, we should see some energy savings as well in that regard.
Marcia, could you repeat the total? You had said 68,000, what was it? 88?
Yeah, $68,088.41.
Great, thank you.
And then the additional in December should be right around $42,000.
And make a motion to approve anytime you can transfer as opposed to doing additional appropriation is a great thing, so I'll make that motion.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried.
Okay, and the last thing I have is a salary ordinance amendment. We had a housekeeper that is now full-time, and we just needed to have an amendment to show that that wage is $15 an hour for the full-time housekeeper. And then the other salary ordinance amendments is for maintenance, making that line item the $50,586 annual pay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve those.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and that's to clarify is for the 22 salary ordinance as well. All those in favor, raise your right hand. You
Was
have a
this
question?
that full-time, part-time thing?
No.
Which
it's-
one?
I think we approved these in the wage committee.
I know. Weren't you going to hire somebody like full-time, part-time?
We have a full-time housekeeper, and that's what we were, it just needed, Michelle, didn't it just need a salary ordinance amendment to show that the $15 is paying as a full-time for that line?
Okay.
Yeah. Just general housekeeping.
Okay. Now, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And you voted yes. I'm sorry, I missed your quick hand. Okay. Motion carried.
Thank you. And I just have one really quick update. The Public Safety Communications Project, I received word today, we are going live with the police, all county police, Sheriff's Department, and all the outer lying departments will go live on November 28th at 9 a.m. They will switch over to the 700 system. And if there are no major issues found that week with the police, then the fire will all come up the following Monday. And we will be live on the new system.
Yay.
Excellent.
That is the plan as of today.
So the.
That's exciting.
November 28th?
very exciting.
Did you say at 5 o'clock? November
9.
28th?
9 a.m.
9 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the
PM or more?
AM.
Okay, that's
9
what I thought.
AM, November 28th, police will be live,
Excellent.
so.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
It
it
is
is.
I just-
exciting. It's what, been
Yay.
4.5 years, I think. so.
And at this
4:30.
point, we do believe that we have every unit in the county outfitted with up-to-date radio equipment.
Yes,
We've
once you
approved
hear
it
the
all.
last
We
of
will,
the
yeah.
grants from, I believe it's Community Corrections and the Mentone EMS
Mentone,
did
yeah.
not get what they fully needed originally, so.
But we have appropriated money for those, so everybody is going to be,
Yeah.
have the
there's no-
equipment they need.
They'll all be able to communicate on 700. There should be no reason why they'd be on VHF.
Great.
And could I ask a quick question? The ones that are just putting in for their radios, how soon will they get those?
They should be fairly quick turnaround right now.
Okay. Great.
I mean, and they know that they're coming through the process, so they may have already allotted those
Okay.
in inventory, just so they'll be ready to go. I mean, the only one that doesn't have any is Community Corrections, the Mentone EMS, they do have 4, so they just did not get enough in the beginning, so.
Okay, great.
Great.
Anything else?
I think that's it.
Thank you, Marcia.
Thank you, Marcia.
Marcia.
Michelle.
Michelle.
So I have a few things for you. The first thing is the interlocal agreement with the Solid Waste Management District. So this is the annual agreement we have with them that allows the county auditor to be the controller of the solid waste district. And we are paid $6,000 a year to provide that service for them.
Anything changed from previous years or last year?
Oh, wow, so much changes all the time at the Solid Waste
In the
Management
agreement, I mean.
District. They're going through some changes right now with different things. There is more reporting that we have to do on Gateway on their behalf right now. I got the call today that the State Board of Accounts is there to finish up the audit that they started last December. So they got halfway done, then pulled off on more critical entities. So now they're back and we'll hopefully finish that up. So,
Okay.
yeah, we're at their beck and call.
My question is more concerning the agreement.
Oh, the dollar wise, no. It is actually, we have been the controller for the solid waste district since 2000. It was $6,000 then, and it has continued to be. The last couple years, we have discussed possibly increasing that. When we made the decision to do that, then the recycling fees went through the roof, and they're actually in a cash deficit and working on making some changes. So didn't think it would be appropriate to ask for more when they were struggling financially. But with some of the decisions they're making, it sounds like they will be very cash solvent going forward. So that is something to entertain in future years.
Okay.
Great, thanks for
With
the
that being
update.
said,
Yeah.
I'd make a motion to
absolutely.
approve the agreement with the Solid Waste District.
Okay,
Second.
we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried.
The next agreement is the interlocal agreement for the KCC RVC. This allows the auditor to serve as the secretary and support staff for that commission. So this is relatively new. We did make changes in that this year, but it has been going quite smoothly. We receive $500 from that commission to do that, and it's really just to reimburse us for the materials that we use for their packets and their grants and all the paper and ink and toner and those sorts of things.
And is that enough?
It is enough to cover costs. Of course, we never have enough to cover time, but that's a volunteer commission that's funded by the innkeeper's tax. And we're trying to make sure we're funneling enough of that in the community for its intended purpose.
Good answer.
Brilliant.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. I do want to add that that commission is working very well. They have quite a bit of money, but they have also been much more giving and have realized the benefits of providing money to those entities in the community. So
Yes.
they have come a long way.
The next item I have is a grant request on behalf of Judge Keeler for the Family Court Project Grant. He's asking for $72,000. So this grant It would be used to pay for attorneys to serve as guardian ad liens for services rendered in custody and parenting time disputes with the county. So he says ASCASA is amazing, and it's a wonderful program. They are a volunteer-based program and not able to really give the advice to the judges as they need. So this would secure money that those individuals would have an attorney to act on their behalf to pull together those facts that they're trained to collect and present to the judge so he can make the best decision possible for those individuals.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, and the other thing is, these are for people who cannot afford to pay.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you can go through that process and pay, but this would be to fund those people that cannot afford to pay. So
Well,
we-
and a guardian ad litem is usually an attorney who works at a lot less than their normal rate.
Yes.
And so they do it with a servant's heart. So I think this is a great situation.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried.
Okay, and the last thing I have is we do have one dormant fund that we would like to declare. It is a District 2 fuel card. We have $338.56. In that fund, it has not been used for several years, and if my memory serves me correct, it was because of people that we sent from our district out to Hurricane Katrina? No. New Jersey. Sandy, Hurricane Sandy. So this was a reimbursement we had received from the federal government, and we had not utilized it since that date. So we're asking for it to be declared dormant, and those dollars will be transferred to the general fund.
So
Bless you.
moved.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried.
All right,
Michelle,
thank you.
how often do you check those funds to see that, maybe they need to be declared dormant?
Absolutely. Every month when I'm preparing the information to send to you guys, I check those final balances. At the end of each year, we look to see the last time it's used. So once it hits a year of no activity, it's on our radar.
Okay.
So then we continually check those funds, and we've, actually, the paperwork I had for this one was prepared by Tina. So earlier in the year, she put it in your folder for tonight that said, hey, if there's no activity, we need to take this to council at that time. So,
Good, thank you.
hey, you're welcome.
Wow, excellent.
Okay, does anybody from the council have anything you've attended that you would need to share with everybody?
The one thing I need to share is I was at MACOG, and Mayor Joe was there talking about US 30 and 31, and he informed us that they have started the Pell survey, and so there's an online website that the community is encouraged to go to, and it'll keep track of it. You can register your name and get email updates, and there's an opportunity for you to present your input with regard to surveys and stuff. And the website is Propel, PROPEL, US30.com. So I just want to get that out there so that the community can
Excellent.
go to it and get registered to receive emails and look that over and stuff. So anyway, that's it.
I did solid waste, and like Michelle said, we're undergoing some major changes. We've decided to close all the sites but the Warsaw site and put in some compactors and make a lot of changes to live within our means for now. And in the future, who knows what it's going to hold, but we're going to try to, if I remember right, Michelle, hold the tax rate at the lowest possible.
Oh, really?
We originally were going to try to raise the tax rate, but that wasn't even going to cover our expenses, so we made the decision to close the satellite sites and keep the Warsaw site open and then enhance it.
Approximately how many satellite sites are there? Any idea?
There was 9? Yeah, there was 9, and we basically are trying to move more toward curbside recycling for the community, which, kind of a better fit for all, I believe, so.
Thank you, Mike. That was helpful.
Redevelopment Commission met today, and we are moving ahead. We have scheduled our first public hearings on creating housing TIFs for South Shore Villages and Etna Green, and those will be held on January 3rd at 1:30 PM. Here.
Was South Shore and what was the other one?
Etna Green.
Okay.
Those are two housing projects we've been working on with KEDCO.
Okay, anything else, Joni? Okay. Start down.
Okay, well, I'm gonna let you do the ledge committee. And then I just attended the Drug-Free Kosciuszko Coalition kickoff meeting, which basically uses the K-code funds. And so basically, this coalition is just a group of community entities that are getting together to give their input for the 1.25 million grant that was just received. And let's see, what else? And then the JDAI Steering Committee met on the 24th, and they did an activity trying to help us focus on things that we can do in the community to keep children in school. They have an issue with school attendance, and so what they're trying to do is find incentive ways to keep kids in school, because apparently, is it next year that it doesn't qualify as a violation legally if a child is truant or if he's absent? So they did that. They have some programs going on in different school systems that they're looking at. KEDCO Finance Committee met, and they're doing an excellent job dividing the monies for one in each project and two in each of their like umbrella entities, because they've taken on several different entities which are kind of under the umbrella of KEDCO. And so hopefully by maybe next month's meeting, what I can do is share some of that information with you. They changed accountants throughout this year, and so they are trying to be a little bit more transparent with their money, so it's easier to read their financial disclosures. The Warsaw Main Street Committee met, and they are going to be changing their first Friday to third Friday, but they're going to have the first Friday as a food Friday. So that's going to be happening in 2023.
Can I just add something to Kim's on the JDAI thing? One of the things that they highlighted was just the decrease in housing, some of their.
Paying to
Yeah.
send kids
Sending
away.
Yeah,
kids
so
away.
they've saved a lot of money because they haven't had to, their program is working in other ways.
Exactly,
So I thought
exactly.
that was really encouraging.
And a lot of that has to do with their changes in rules
Yes,
and how
right.
they're addressing things. One of the things that I found really crazy with that was that they had this list of like 27 rules that, you know, most adults couldn't remember what all those rules were. And a lot of them were rules that the kids couldn't make happen on their own, such as you have to sit down and have supper with mom and dad. Well, the child does not control mom and dad, and if mom and dad aren't there, they can't sit down and have supper with them. So they cut the list back to, I think, 7 to 9 things that made sense, that a kid could understand, and it was very clear cut, so there was no real gray area. So, yeah, a lot of positive things have come out of that.
And to give you an idea, in 2017, there were like over 50 kids that had to be sent to a housing situation. And I think this last year, they said there were 3 in
Yeah.
2022, and 2 of those were the same person. So there were only 2 children actually sent away. So that's really awesome.
Yeah.
Which is a positive. John, you,
I was unable to attend the October Bowen Center Board meeting, so I have
Okay.
no report tonight.
okay, no problem. Okay, moving right along. The KEDCO had a board meeting, and I attended that. Actually, it was a virtual meeting. out of the HELP grant came an educational piece that they want to do that's not something that's going to be actually funded, but this was suggested that somehow for people who want to run for election or people who are going to be serving in positions, that through various different means, we could provide some education for them. So I tried to explain, because obviously the people there didn't know all the educational opportunities that elected people have if they take advantage of them. So they're kind of leaning towards preparing something in advance of an election. Because I think we've all read in the paper, somebody said, well, I went in January and I didn't know what was available to sign up for. And so I asked what nobody else had signed for, and I put my name on that list. Well, that's not a good way to pick what office you want to run for. And so we're hoping that if this program can get developed, it can be a springboard to provide greater information and provide people who actually know and understand what they're getting themselves into. And also the ARPA meeting, we just had an ARPA meeting yesterday, and we covered a lot of things again. So we are trying to get things nailed down as to what we're spending the money for, because that all has to be dedicated by the end of '24. I know it sounds like by the end of '23, that sounds like it's a long ways away, but it is not a long ways away. So we've worked real hard at trying to make that happen. And then moving on to the County Council Association and the Ledge Committee, we have a machine that's working that will be very fine-tuned during this legislative session. I'm positive of that. And so we're going to have a lot of interaction. So if you have any interest in jumping on board with the legislative committee, feel free to do that. Again, we talked about, I think I mentioned last meeting, but December the 6th and 7th are the two dates for county council treasurers and auditors to attend the newly elected officials training that will be held in Plainfield at the Embassy Suites. And those meetings will be packed full of all kinds of information. Anybody who has not attended one, like when Kathy was elected, we were in the middle of COVID, and so there was no in-person. So actually, anybody who was elected in that cycle, or anybody who was newly elected this time that is just a newly elected person, anybody can go. All you got to do is register and sign up. So that's where we're at with that.
Can I mention one other thing?
Absolutely.
I forgot to mention the mental health summit that I attended.
Oh,
It was an
yes.
all-day summit,
Yes.
very super interesting, just about changes or some new legislation that they want to implement in this next session. I think they're hoping to implement concerning just how we're going to be handling mental health cases and drug cases to try to help with the current situation that we have going on. So it was very interesting. It was an all-day thing. Super interesting. I mean, judges and probation and myself and everyone that was on JRAC went to it. It was really good.
And just to piggyback on that, at the K-Code meeting, Dan and Heidi mentioned that there's a grant that possibly they can get to help for helping children addiction and helping children to get off drugs or not to have any kind of a substance abuse. And so they're really excited, but they won't know until January if they can apply. So they're really excited because it actually is going through mental health and like just prevention from children having addiction. So.
And I think we need to congratulate Sue Ann Mitchell for being elected second vice president of the Association of Indiana Counties.
So the other thing along with that is I believe there's going to be a lot of legislation that's going to be addressing this.
Right.
Because Dr. Box and former Senator Luke Kinley will be presenting a lot of information and following up with bills in the legislature to ramp up the amount of money that's being spent not only on mental health, but on health in general in the state of Indiana. I think they figured out we're something like 42nd in the nation.
Yeah.
And that's not a very good statistic. When we're 1, 2, or 3 in, being tax-friendly, we probably ought to be
Healthy.
health-friendly. So does anybody else here have anything else you want to share? Anybody from the audience have anything you want to share? Questions, concerns, thoughts, prayers?
I
Okay,
think it's
here-
great
make
that
a
you
motion to
recognize
adjourn.
the veterans, and I think we should all just
yeah, think
keep
about
them
it.
in our prayers and have a great Veterans Day tomorrow.
So Mike, we're glad you're here because we got to the end of the meeting last month and we all said,
You couldn't adjourn?
well, it was close. Ernie pulled us out of that, so. Now, it's your turn.
I already made the motion.
You made
I'm
a
looking
motion.
for a second.
Do we have a second to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you very much. Thank you, folks in the audience, for coming.
Recording stopped. You guys already got all this
Okay,
out?
don't let him run out of here.
What is abatement? What do they mean by abatement? Oh. Oh. Oh, I could do that. That's what I definitely want to do.
Sign on that side.
Advisory board, I mean, I don't really. Oh. Yeah, you can't sign on it. Do you want, am I supposed to start or? Yeah, you need to start, yeah, if you could, Catherine. Yeah, yeah, so what, you want me to start?
Yeah, you're good, Mike. You can start there if you want to and start passing the minutes.
You know, all these women here are confusing me.
Well, she saw I was doing something, so she.
Too many.
Don't forget to.
Okay, so you want me to sign all these?
Which changes, looking for frequency and since